The Q106.5 morning show. Scott Miller, and on the phone we have Shira Patterson, who's the president and CEO of United Way of Eastern Maine. Good morning, Shira.
Good morning, Scott.
Well, thank you for doing this. We certainly appreciate it because, boy, our world is in a confused state. Every day it changes, and it's more often than every day it changes. And just a few days ago, it was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see what this is. Now it's much different. So do share what is going on with United Way of Eastern Maine.
Sure. Thank you for having us on. We are really looking at how can we best support our community as we all are going through this together. And one of the things we heard from both our business partners who said we want to help and the nonprofit organizations that we work with was that, we really do anticipate there's a need for funding for people who are going to be affected by this in ways that remain to be seen over both the short term and the long term. And so what we did is we launched the COVID-19 Response Fund for Eastern Maine, which we have begun to raise funds. It's been well received. And we're looking at granting those funds out to nonprofit organizations to help provide some of those services that will really fill in the gaps for people as this unfolds.
And so if I'm like, okay, that's a good cause, what do I do to help you out? How do I write a check, or what do I do?
Sure. You can go to unitedwayem.org, and right there on the homepage, you'll see a link, and that brings you to information about how to donate to the fund, as well as information if you're an organization that says, hey, we could use these funds, how do you apply for those? And so that's all there.
What kind of organizations are we talking about? What, how deep does it go?
So we don't grant funds to individuals, and I know some people will hear this and say, I need that. And
right.
We say the primary vehicle to get info about resources is 211 Maine for those folks. But really, any 501c3 is eligible, and a lot of the organizations that we see benefiting are particularly health and human service-based, but it's not limited. It could be municipalities. It could be school districts. It could be it could be a collaboration of organizations that represent different segments of the nonprofit sector that say we have a group of individuals that could use X, Y, or Z. So we're being really creative. You do have to be a nonprofit organization or kind of a public institution type.
Sure. Shira, let me back up for 2 seconds here. You mentioned 211, and for those who, who are, there's people around the country, I don't know that it's local, but there's people calling 911 saying, I'm out of toilet paper, where do I get it? 211 is not for necessarily questions like that, but it is, we should not be using 911 for our general questions. 211 can handle that 24/7.
Correct. 211 has the most up-to-date information on resources throughout the state of Maine, and it really is a great resource, and there's a person that answers that 24/7. Call volume's a little higher right now, you might understand, so you might have to wait a bit. But you can also text to 211-898-211. Just text your zip code to that number, or look online, 211maine.org. And there are also resources listed there. Right.
Now, so you obviously need funds. Now, is this time for healthy volunteers to step up too?
Yes. So we had two different calls with nonprofit partners from all over Eastern Maine yesterday. And a huge thing we're hearing is, we're not worried about getting the food for kids. That's, as one example. We need to figure out how do we get the food to these kids because their parents might not have transportation, or they might be self-quarantined and things like that. So, that's just one example of ways that volunteers might be used. And so what we're doing is we are compiling a list of what those needs are, and we expect as today unfolds, we'll get some real concrete opportunities listed. But right now, if you're listening and you're considering, I want to volunteer, I'm healthy, I can help, go to unitedwayem.org. There's a link there for people who want to volunteer, and you can fill out just a little bit of information so we know who you are and what types of things you would be interested in doing. And as those opportunities come in from our nonprofits, we'll help make those connections for you so you can get out and help, which I know so many people want to be doing.
Absolutely. Okay, unitedwayem.org. bangor.org is that website. So,
Yes.
anybody that can do it, let's all do it. And this is where community steps up, and that's the wonderful thing about being in such a great area and a great state like Maine, that we will have people step up, and that's a wonderful feeling.
It sure is. It is.
Well, Shira, thanks. You got to get back to your kids, girl.
I sure do.
Thank you so much, Shira Patterson, the president and CEO of United Way of Eastern Maine. And again, it's unitedwayem.org.